and welcome to the Ultimate Love Life Makeover, Dating Mastery for Women. I'm Cami Elen, your host, and I'm so happy that you're here. Each day during this virtual summit, you will learn tips and tools from our world-class experts on all things related to dating and attraction. This wisdom will help you date and relate with unshakable confidence and become a woman who can inspire a great love. We are standing for you to create nothing less than lasting, luscious love, your ultimate love life makeover. So let's dive in. I'm really thrilled to introduce my next guest expert, Cherry Norris. She'll be speaking to us today on the topic, is he the real deal or a real danger? And I think this is such an important topic when it comes to dating mastery for women, so I'm really excited to get started. But first, let me tell you more about Cherry. So since 2002, Cherry's been giving fun, fail-proof tips and life-changing strategies to help women meet quality men and star in their own love stories. Whether it's how to meet him, keep him, or know when to leave him, Wen empowers women to feel their best in love without losing themselves in the process. Cherry wrote, directed, and produced the internationally acclaimed feature film, Duty Dating, a romantic comedy about a woman who, on the advice of a love doctor, must learn how to meet and marry her man. The premise is based on the best-selling book, Getting to I Do by Dr. Patricia Allen. Everything you need to know about men and relationships is in the film. Her free dating videos are viewed in over 100 countries around the world. Cherry's here to help you star in your own love story and find lasting love without losing yourself. So welcome, Cherry.
Thank you so much, Cami. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm really happy to be here today.
So glad to have you with us. And I'm wondering, before we get started, can you tell us just a little bit about how it is that you came to be a dating coach? How did you get started?
By pure accident. It was never an intention to be a dating coach. I was a dating disaster who had to learn how to date. And it was really through making the movie Duty Dating and being coached by Dr. Pat Allen that I skilled myself in order to understand relationships and how they worked. And then I met a French-Italian man while I was sailing the Mediterranean with my mother, and we married. And my girlfriends were asking, how did you do it? And what can I learn? And so I started coaching from that. And even though our marriage completed a year or so ago, I'm still coaching and learning all sides of relationships. It's a journey. It's really a fun one, a cool one.
Wonderful.
I've been doing it for 20 years now, so it's been a ride.
Wow. Well, we definitely, it's when we're coaching, I think we're coaching because we've done it ourselves and learned and saving people the heartache and all the mistakes. So I love your story. It's so fantastic. So why don't you tell us, in terms of a dangerous man, how can you tell the difference in dating when women are out there dating and relating and online dating or meeting people in person? How can you tell the difference between a real deal or what you call a real danger?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's important to know the distinction. And sometimes it's not easy to tell straight away, because the dangerous men can often show up in amazing packages. I mean, they look good, they sound good, they do all the right things, they make you feel so special and give you, lavish a woman with so much attention or compliments. Often this is how it starts. And so the woman believes what the man is saying, and he can hold his act together for a little bit before the mask starts to slip. And you realize I call it like cheap wine, all front, no back.
Okay.
What they say in Texas, all hat and no cow. It's all for show. It's all facade. And that's why it's very important to take time to get to know a man before giving him your body sexually, so you know who he is. Now, a real deal will follow through what he says he's going to do. And sometimes these real deals come in real boring packages, seemingly.
Oh,
They're the nice guys, right? And they're ones that you kind of go, oh, you're not that thrilling. But they will, over time, keep putting you as a priority, keep showing up and following through on their commitments. They will make and keep agreements. They will cherish your feelings. And, you know, they're in it for the long term. The real danger, the dangerous man, is in it for what he can get.
mm-hmm.
So the distinction is, one is there for his own gratification, and the other is there for prioritizing you and the relationship and really wanting to build a life.
So it sounds like what's coming to me when you're talking about the distinction, it sounds to me like the real deal, the man who is the real deal, is investing in you and in the relationship.
Yeah.
And the real danger is not necessarily investing.
He's
Is that right?
in himself,
Mm-hmm.
and his own gratification and his own sport or his own amusement.
Mm-hmm.
And it really messes with a woman's brain when a real danger comes on, because it can be very strong and very seductive, and it feels like the fairy tale come to life because you're literally swept off your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very fast and it feels fantastic, and all you want to do or think about is that man and being with him or hearing from him or texting him or FaceTiming and whatever, right? The real deal often takes a lot longer to move forward. He's more conscious, he's more plan-oriented, he's more plotting. And so many times a woman can mistake his not moving quickly for his lack of interest. But that's not what's happening.
So when you're talking, I'm just imagining, someone listening saying, well, I don't know, a boring guy, that doesn't sound good. Why do I want that? I really want the excitement. But I don't think that's what you mean. I think, so when someone's going on a date, and let's say, what's the barometer? If she comes home from the date and she has that feeling like, oh God, I think he's boring, what do you suggest? How does she decide, yes, I should go out again, or no, it's definitely a no?
If he's a nice guy, give it 3 shots. Go out at least 3 times, because it could take that long for the chemistry to kick in. Okay,
3 times.
3 times minimum. All right. You said something in the question, but I have to remember what it was
about the boring, having the feeling that, oh, this guy's too boring. I want someone more exciting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. This is really key. If you want a very exciting man and he leans into this dangerous personality type that we're talking about the narcissist,
yes,
the personality disorders, but they can be so charismatic. I mean, they run the world. And
yes,
we need ways to value the charisma, the charm, the gregarious leadership, and all the traits that they possess with them. So that's when it's so important to skill yourself so that no matter what the man does, you know how to protect your pocketbook and your body and your sanity. Because if you want to be with an exciting man, and I don't advertise going against that, because they can be fun to play with.
Yeah.
They can be fun to play with, but just know what you're getting into and know how to protect yourself so that you're not used and abused and victimized, you see? Otherwise, play it safe and go with the boring man, the wimp, if you will. But the wimp offers a great package often, you know, and it can come in the form of comfortability and security. And even if it's leaning on the edge of boredom, there is a peace and a relief in there. The dangerous man isn't going to give you a lot of peace and relief. You will have it in moments. You will love him so much and you hate him the next minute.
Yeah.
It's just one thing or the other. It's very difficult to maintain a steady balance. And that is why the woman has to be so anchored and so grounded in herself that she can withstand the hurricane.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we're sold in all the movies and music and in society, we're sort of sold this idea that it has to be like that. You know, all the songs are about this heartbreaking love and my heart is beating pitter patter. And so I think what you're saying to me is it's about this sense of safety that we're not really told is what we should want. But you know, I've heard from women before who have gone from what you're talking about, dating a kind of the dangerous kind of guy and starting to date someone who I'm thinking of a couple, and I remember that the woman said, oh no, he's definitely not a romantic possibility, too boring. No. And she told him that we can be friends, nothing more. But she said over time, they got to know each other. She was duty dating, like you're calling it duty dating. That's what she was doing. And she said over time, she looked over at him and she just said, oh my God, I love this man. Now they're married happily for many years.
Wow. He got in her ears. He was reliable. He was steady. And she started to value him. And that friendship can often lead to a chemical attraction if you keep them around long enough. You know, it's like,
yes.
I am of the premise, appreciate everything that comes to you. Women often say, I always attract the wrong man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about who you attract. It's what you do with them that counts. You're going to attract a lot of people, men, women, a lot of people that are not going to be your people, but it's what you do. And that is where I think the skill comes in of knowing yourself and knowing who you're going to be with anyone who presents to you and being able to own it and speak it and act in it. Mm-hmm.
And that sounds so powerful because, you know, when we say, oh, I just attract the wrong men, I love what you're saying. Like, oh, you're going to attract a lot of people, but you have the power to say yes. You have the power to say no.
Yes. True.
It's not just, oh, I have to take this person because he showed up.
Exactly. Or, oh, next. The premise of duty dating is to date 3 men simultaneously so that you can build skills so you're prepared for the man who really interests you. Okay? So if you say thank you to whoever shows up, you're being given an opportunity to grow personally through the experience in the relationship, whatever it is, with this particular man. It could be a date, or it could be 2 dates, or 3, or a friendship for years. But you're given an opportunity for your own benefit. So you got to turn it around. Shift the prism is what I say. Look at it from
shift the prism.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
And look at it through the lens of, I'm grateful for the opportunity to experience who I am being with this person. And if you decide that this is not your person, this is not your man, be grateful for him, thank him, appreciate him, and put him back on the shelf. Leave him in as good a place as you found him so that your sister can actually appreciate his gifts without him feeling clobbered.
Do you have a script for that? So let's say a woman has gone on 3 duty dates and she's really tried to stay open-minded, but it gets to date 3 And even though he has some lovely qualities, she's just really tuned in that this isn't the one. What does she say to him so she doesn't ghost the poor man?
It's so, I don't know why it's difficult, but this is so easy to say. Write this down. Thank you so much for the time you've showed me. I think you're an amazing man. However, I'm not feeling the indescribable chemistry that tells me we are a romantic fit. I wish you all the best.
Very simple, very respectful.
Yes, very direct, and he will get that. Now, often the man will say, well, can we still be friends? If he offers something, brings value to your life that makes it better than what you can do for yourself, say yes. I'm always believing that it's to your benefit to say yes as often as possible, be available for whatever until it's a no.
Yes.
Say yes until it's a no.
Beautiful. So now what about this, back to the dangerous man? I think you have a surefire way of making sure to know a dangerous man before he breaks your heart. What's that surefire way?
Well, your body is going to be the first indicator that something's wrong, okay? And one surefire way is there will be a lot of contradictory statements that he will make. He'll say one thing and do something else. And if you question him, he will be evasive, he will be secretive, he will be condescending, and he will be abrupt in some form. And it doesn't necessarily come as obvious. It will start to just not make sense. And you'll think you're going crazy. You really will. You'll think, there's something wrong. I'm going crazy. And your friends will think that you're a little off too. It just won't line up. But you're not going to have the rational explanation of why it's not. But your body will be the first indicator that something's weird, okay? And then over time is when you will start to discover the slips in the mask, the broken agreements, the saying one thing when you realize it's actually something else. And anytime you go to the table to negotiate it, you have every right to break that agreement. However, I don't feel comfortable. Do you think we can move forward and have you do what you say you're going to do? And he'll say, sure, sure. And then he'll break it again.
So follow through. Follow through. Actions, not words.
Agreements. Making and keeping agreements. Big, big, big. Telltale sign.
I think that can be challenging sometimes because, I think if someone is talking about things and they sound so wonderful and so lovely, or like this trip in the future, or, future thinking, and then the woman starts to feel attached to that. It's like they're attached to this future that's not happening. And then I hear stories about people who have been, in these relationships for long periods of time because they're still, but he said this and this and that. He said he loved me, but the relationship in the present is really not lining up.
That's exactly right. That's when you have a real sociopath. Because they're so damn charming. And for whatever reason, there's a book called Why Women Love Psychopaths. The author is escaping me. I should know this. I've read it 3 times. But it's a brilliant book about not only the breakdown of the man's personality type, but the woman that they migrate to. And there are very distinct characteristics that women have. And typically the woman is very caring, very empathetic.
Yes.
Likes a thrill-seeking man, has a lot of charisma, success on her own, has a high tolerance level. I mean, these types of things. And when a woman attracts a sociopath, let's say, Some can be psychopaths, but sociopaths have more emotion, and narcissists as well. So when a woman attracts one of these men, they're so exciting and they say these wonderful things. And for whatever reason, the woman will forget the horrible things the man does and only bond to the wonderful things he says and does. And it takes years. It takes years to wean yourself off of one of these B cluster personality disorders, and they keep you in their harem. It's crazy that they will have many women, and for whatever reason they have a difficult time letting a woman go, so they keep her around, which is even more confusing if you're in the mix of this.
Well, I want to ask you another question about that, but just something that you just said. It sounds like in this kind of situation that it's so important to honor your own inner knowing, because it sounds like you're being talked out of your own, almost like gaslighting, right?
Oh, it is gaslighting.
That's
exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. But it can get very gray. It can be a very gray area. And this is when it's a good idea, if you're a woman in this situation, it's a good idea to get help. Have a therapist or a coach or a mentor, a counselor walk you through this, because you need an anchor in this storm. And often, I mean, I think that's why we need each other, because we can't even see our own blind spots, you know?
So I think that, someone listening to this, or maybe they've experienced this already, and it's got to be so confusing to try and figure out, why would somebody even do this? Why would somebody even behave this way? So what would you say to someone who wants to know, well, he started out so into me and then he just disappeared. Why?
Well, there are many reasons. I mean, sometimes a nice guy can ask you out, have a few dates, and disappear. And maybe he senses on the dates that you were interested in a long-term relationship, and he just wasn't at that point in his life. And so he was more in it for dating and casual sex, but not in it for a long-term deal. And that man may leave because he knows he can't be what you're looking for. All right. The other man, the dangerous man, leaves for a number of reasons as well. One is he can't keep up his act anymore. He only has 2 or 3 or 4 months worth of good front stuff to show you before he starts slipping. But don't be deceived, because some men can hold it up for 20 years.
Wow.
I mean, it's a big deal. But if you're getting more pleasure from it than pain, it's okay. And
right.
This is when it comes back to you taking care of yourself in the midst of it. If you're getting more pleasure, great. But if the stock starts to drop on the pleasure side, it's time to reassess or get out. Another reason why one of these personality disorders, dangerous men, leave is because they're bored. They're in it for sport. They got what they need. They come on strong. They love bomb. They get sex. And then they're bored. And then it's like, oh, something shiny over here.
Yeah. I need to have new supply.
New supply, new vein, new, new neck to sack. Yeah.
So what does someone do if now she's like, oh my God, I do not want to date this kind of a guy. I'm just going to close my heart off altogether because this is just not worth it. So how does a woman date and keep her heart open for the real deal while she's out there trying to date? How does she keep her heart open?
Great question. And it's not easy to do, especially if you've been slammed by one of these guys. It's hard to open up. First of all, I would say never trust anyone, which people are like, what do you mean? Of course I'm going to trust him. No, I don't even trust myself. I wake up and I say, okay, no wine today. And about 6 o'clock, I'm little glass of rosé would be. So instead, take a risk on people and build a trustworthy relationship by making and keeping agreements. Okay, so when you are going out right there, you know, okay, I don't have to believe anything until I have a trustworthy length of time. Let me reset here. When a woman goes out on a date, you don't have to do anything. You know, if you're out on a date, the only thing you have to do is smile, listen, nod, and say, yes, thank you, please. That's it. You don't have to work. You don't have to perform. You don't have to be in the pick me syndrome. You go out and you say, what do you have to do to offer? What can you do? What can you offer to make my life better than I can do for myself? So you're auditioning. And you just sit back and enjoy the ride, enjoy the show, see what he has to offer. And right there, it reframes. It's not about going out and finding the one. It's not going out and being afraid that he's going to break your heart. It's going out and saying, I'm here, I'm available, I'm going to say yes until it's a no. And if you show me a fun time, and if you pay attention to my needs, and if you consider my feelings, and you have taken an effort in planning our date and are treating me well, then I will keep saying yes. And when you start not showing up when you say you're going to, or breaking our agreements, I keep going back to that, but that's the premise of every relationship is agreements. Then I don't, thank you very much. Next. Best word in the English dictionary. Next.
More empowering scripts. That one's easy, ladies. Next.
Next. Stay as long as you can stay. And when you're done, next.
And it's also, a lot of times in dating, I think we can be so other focused, and everything that you were just saying was me focused. It's really continuing to listen. Okay, I'm sitting back. I'm watching what he's doing. How am I feeling about that? Watching how he's following up. How am I feeling about that? Is he investing in me? How am I feeling about that? Instead of, I think sometimes someone can go on what they think was a good date, and they feel there was interest and attraction, and then they don't hear anything. And then they try to kind of nudge the guy along. Well, maybe if I text him, he'll. So what do you think about that? If she feels like, well, I had a great date, and maybe he just needs a text.
Stop. Stop. Let me put you on pause. Don't text. Because his not reaching out to you is giving information on where he's at. All right. Here's part 2. Don't take it personally.
That's what I was going to ask you. Okay.
You'll never know why he's not calling back if he doesn't call back after a date and you've had a wonderful time. You will never know. And you can speculate with all your friends till the cows come home, and you will never know. You will never know. The best example I have of this is I know a woman. I know this from the guy's point of view. The guy had a date with a woman. And on their date, she ordered a big Slurpee. Okay. They were younger. And he turned off because of what she ordered. Now, there's no way this woman would ever think that the reason he's not calling her back is because she ordered a Slurpee.
Right.
That's insane. But that was the reason. I've heard men say, I didn't like her shoes. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy. So you cannot speculate. You just have to say, and you don't know the backstory. You don't know who the other women are in his life.
Right.
You don't know what's going on.
Right.
It's the rare man that will come out and tell you the truth. It does happen, but it's rare. So next, if you don't hear from him in 2 months, 8 weeks, you can then send a little text or a salutation of some sort, just, hey, to see if you can jumpstart him back into action. But do not text, do not follow up, because what that does is it shifts you to being the masculine pursuer.
Right.
It's not feminine. It's not receptive. It starts to become controlling and mothering and managing. that is a turnoff to many men.
No one wants to be dating their mother.
No.
It's not attractive.
Some do.
Well, some do.
And if you're a woman who wants a son, there are many of them out there. You know, there's something for everyone.
That is great advice. And so how do you know, with all of this, I think you were just talking about that, but anything else about staying or going? Any other advice about if I should stay or if I should go?
If you're getting sick, if you're being abused emotionally or physically, the best analogy I can use is if he's 51%, keep him. If his stock starts to drop to 49% and you don't see it going up again, it's time to part. If you reach a point where you're just apathetic and empathetic, meaning you don't care, you just don't care. You cannot watch him chew. You are so done, right? Go. Unless there's something you're getting. A lot of women will stay in a marriage because of financial security and actually be okay if their husbands have affairs. So they get the title and they get the security and the status, and then they don't even have to put in the effort for sex because the man's getting it elsewhere. So here's the deal. Anything works as long as it's agreed upon by all the parties.
True. Great. And so if a woman is trying to assess, I think you have some tests. You have 4 tests to know if he's worth keeping. So what are the tests?
Well, it goes back to those 4 things. If he's secretive, let him go. If he shares his day with you and tells you what's going on in his life, chances are he's a good contender. If he's abrupt, meaning like abrupt can be ending a phone conversation just very quickly. Sorry, I've got to go. I've got a call coming in. It can be an interruption when you're trying to share something. It's just derailed, this type of thing. Let him go. If on the other side of that, if he's considerate and listens and hears you and lets you finish, that's somebody worth keeping around, right? Evasive, meaning like you might ask a question and he responds with humor or a joke or something completely unrelated to what you're asking, but you're diverted because he's so charming and cute and funny. Pay attention. On the other side of that, if you ask a question and he's just very direct, even if it's hurtful to hear, he's going to be truthful and he's going to answer what you ask. That's someone to value. And then, let's see, secretive, evasive, abrupt, condescending. Condescending means like you can be at a restaurant with a man and he can just start insulting the waitress, doing it in a way that's a real dick move. You know? Yeah. I've been with a man and he just acted like a dick in front of the waitress. And I wanted to say something, but I was on a date and it felt weird since he was paying the bill to say something. But I just filed it away and I was thinking, strike, yes, you're not my guy. But
how he treats people.
Exactly. And so you want to pay attention to that and how his attitude on life, and if he's superior and everybody else is crap. You see, a respectable man will will value the waitress, will say thank you for serving us tonight. This type of thing. It's very common sense. However, like we said from the beginning of the conversation, some of these men are so smooth and so charming that it takes a while to uncover. And even if we know, we don't want to know. So as a woman, sometimes we will lie to ourselves and go, well, maybe I really didn't see that. Or maybe it was just once this time. Or maybe it's, we'll start making excuses for it. And
Well,
so
I
when
was,
you start to do that, pay attention to yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking about that when you were talking about evasive, being evasive. And when a man is like that and he uses the humor and is kind of charming and sexy, in that moment, the woman needs to sort of, okay, I guess I'm not, all right. You sort of get, you buy into that. It's like you're throwing yourself under the bus in that moment, but it's done in such a wily way that, look, oh, okay, this is funny and he's so sexy and charming. I guess I won't listen to myself. So it goes back to that inner knowing. And in those moments, it sounds like if you're deciding that what you need, it's like you're not honoring your own needs, being talked out of it.
Yes. And sometimes you just have to go through the process until it reaches its completion.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in that situation, it's like, do not reach out to the guy, but keep responding and don't let his penis back in your body if you've given it to him. Just, maintain your own virtue, do your best to protect yourself so you don't, because there's an addiction that comes along with this whole process. And often these men have addiction issues. And often they can act as if they've got all their shit together when in reality they're using, whether it's drugs or alcohol or porn or in debt or whatever their thing is. There's a lot of that they're not showing on the surface. And so
I'm wondering if you can can you give us a script for that? So someone's gone out with a man, they have been sexual, but you're saying put the brakes on with the sexuality. So what would you advise that someone says in that? And do they do it on the phone or do they do it on the next date? What do they say and when?
well, it can happen several ways. One is like if he starts to put on a sexual move, that's the perfect time to say, I appreciate you wanting sex. However, I'm not comfortable. I don't feel safe. I know there are other women, so I don't want to share your penis with others. That's pretty straight up, right?
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it can be over the phone. The guy can actually make an agreement, like, would you be willing, blah, 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 whatever that is. And then that's what you can say. Yes, I will be willing to continue to date you, knowing that you're dating others, but I'm not putting your penis in my body. And I will stay as long as I can stay, and I will continue to date others, and I can be stolen.
So having the boundary sexually, but it's okay to date him if you want to keep dating him, but if it's clear that there isn't the commitment that you're seeking, to back up on the sexuality.
Yes, absolutely. If it's complicated, that movie with Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin is one of the best examples of seeing how charming this man can be. Because Alec Baldwin steals the film. He's so damn charming, and he's lying every step of the way. But Meryl Streep has to go back to complete the process because it's been dangling there for 10 years, right? Can we still make it work? And when they first get together, having the affair on his new wife, it's all exciting and it's thrilling and the possibilities are enormous. And he just keeps charming her and he's there for her. And it's so, exciting and the sex is great. Until, his mask starts to slip again. And she's like, I can't do this. Like she's even asking, are you lying to me? And he's like evasive. No, why would I do that? You see? So if you are a woman who is in a situation with a man like this, protect your body and do your best to date others. It's hard. Nobody's going to look good to you after this guy.
Yes.
And know that it's okay if you feel the need to complete. Just don't reach out to him. Do your best to keep, grounded and centered, and know that it will be sporadic when he contacts you. And typically when he does, he will act as if no time has passed, and he'll just like include you right in the moment of wherever he is. And you'll think, well, what about where we left off? But he's not even there.
Seems to have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Conveniently.
I just read something else too about why he leaves and then comes back, which I think is kind of interesting. I never thought about it in these terms. It's a power play. You know, if he knows maybe you've called him out on something, he'll leave to make you want him.
And then come back to see if you really meant it, to kind of test you.
If you can feed his ego and appreciate him to get his balance back with feeling good with you. Because if you continue to call him out, he's going to go away as punishment. You see. So it's always that energetic, you know, and the woman feels it. I want you. I can't stand you. I want you. I can't stand you. Yeah.
So really being able to hold during that process and not feeling like, oh, I can't stand this. I need to reach out and break this tension. Yeah. But being able to ride that to get to the other side.
Really tough. And that's where a woman's skill is invaluable. And I'm sorry to say, most women don't have that skill level. And awareness.
So what do you think would be most helpful if someone is hearing this and feeling like, oh my God, this is every guy I've ever dated. How do I break this cycle? And how do I become that woman who can do this?
Yeah, get help, get help. Read, I just want to run and get that book and see what, Why Women Love Psychopaths. Start with the book.
They can Google it, yeah.
I'm so sorry. It's just like, I'll remember it as soon as we get off this interview. Get help. You've got a panel of experts here. Just start studying, just start learning. And then I would suggest get a coach. If you're in the situation and need help getting out, there are resources to help you. I'm available. Others are available. Find someone you resonate with that you can use their support.
Wonderful. Well, I know you can give us information on some other ways to work with you, but I have one more question for you, because you've talked about feminine and masculine. And today, so many women feel like they're masculine. They're in the world, they're powerful with their careers, they're making it happen. And then this idea of becoming feminine, they just feel like, what is that? I'm not going to be as powerful. What does feminine look like? And what about if a woman feels like, well, I actually want to be masculine in the relationship. And so can you talk about and how someone would navigate a relationship if she truly wants to learn how to become more feminine, or if she wants to be the masculine?
Yeah. Well, Harvard did a study and discovered that a third of the women on the planet are very comfortable in their masculine, and they have sensual husbands who cook or paint or give them massages when they come home, are more of the feminine energy. In relationships, it's about finding your complementary energy. A lot of women that I work with are very alpha, meaning they're out running companies, they're out in the world making things happen. And so I describe them as having this big old Popeye arm with big bulges over here, and they're very strong and eat their spinach. And then on this side, it's olive oil. It's very skinny and scrawny because it hasn't been worked out. So the goal isn't, becoming feminine. It's balancing out your energies between your doing and your being. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there on what is masculine and what is feminine. For example, a lot of women believe that nurturing and mothering is feminine, and it's not. It's a masculine skill, because mothering and nurturing is giving, protecting, and cherishing. And it's very appropriate for a woman to mother and nurture a small child or a sick parent or even a sick man. However, it's not appropriate if you want to have a man that you respect in your life, because it's too competitive, right? So the power of the feminine comes from the ability to say no. And that's really where a lot of women are afraid. They're afraid to say no. And it comes from the fear of not being liked, the fear of it's very primal, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being ousted from the tribe. I mean, it goes back to our reptilian brains. We could get killed if we were ousted from the tribe. If a man disapproves of us, then he can discard us, and that could kill us in our brains, right? So it's easier to please and not say no and risk his abandonment, all right? But the power of the feminine comes with being able to say no and knowing that you will survive it regardless of what he will do. That's how I entered my marriage. I mean, I was in Pat Allen's office on my wedding day, and I said, I don't know if I'm making the right decision. And she said to me, do you have faith you will survive it if it doesn't work out? And I said, yes. And she said, then get married. And I did.
Wow.
And
great question.
What a great ride, too, that I had in the relationship and in the marriage. I have no regrets. It was amazing. And I feel very grateful that it completed when it did, because it was a perfect time, you see. So, again, it comes down to a woman's ability to do less, be more, talk less, listen more, being in the present, stop expecting things with the head, letting the story run away. He's got to call me back by this point. He needs to take me this place. He needs to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. You know, you have to let go of all of that, surrender to what is, and just give yourself permission to go on the ride and enjoy it wherever it takes you, knowing that you can say no if it's harmful to your body or your pocketbook or to your sanity. Time to get out. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Very powerful. And I think this is a wonderful place to stop. Great advice. And I know that you have a wonderful free video series, 3 video series, I believe, a free gift. Would you like to share more about that?
I would. Thank you, Cami. It's a 3-part video series. I've actually hired actors to portray these scenarios, so it's not me just talking the whole time.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, the first one is how to know if he's, how to attract a man in less than 6 seconds and know if he's romantically interested within 15 minutes.
Wow.
That played out. The second one is how to turn a potential dating disaster into a dream date, because often you can be out with a guy and they'll say or do something that's a little off-putting, and rather than having it ruin the evening or saying no to the man in that moment, there's a way to have a conversation to get it back on track and see if you can salvage it and turn it around. And the third one is how to know when it's safe to have sex and how to require a commitment so that you know what the trajectory of the relationship is going to be, and it's agreed upon by both parties. So
wow,
that's it.
Those are amazing, and they sound like they're going to save the women a lot of time and also make dating more enjoyable, because if you can turn a dating disaster into a dream date, that sounds like a lot of fun. And dating should be fun.
It should be fun. Otherwise, why bother?
Exactly.
Why bother?
Well, you will find the link to Cherry's free gift on the page just below the audio or the video that you're watching. So make sure that you check that out. Cherry, thank you so much for being with us today. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and you brought so much valuable information to the women who are going to now be looking out for those real deal men and avoiding those dangerous men. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome, Cami. It was a pleasure. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, the phenomenal women who are listening and watching. We appreciate you being here with us for the Ultimate Love Life Makeover Summit. So after you take advantage of Cherry's free gift, make sure that you check out the VIP package. You don't want to miss out on this. You can find all the details by scrolling down below on this page, or you can go to ultimatelovelifemakeover.com/VIP. This will allow you to listen back to Cherry's talk and access all of the content from our amazing speakers as much as you like, whenever you like. So have a look at the details below and make sure that you come back and join us for more of the Ultimate Love Life Makeover. See you soon, everyone.